Hello everybody, welcome to ScottyDGaming. I'm Scotty D and today is my review of Terminator Resistance. I'll be back. Terminator Resistance is a first-person shooter with light RPG elements. It's got skill points, conversations and light choices that you can make that ultimately affect the ending. There are a mix of linear and small open maps which tend to alternate throughout the game, but most importantly it is true to the original two movies. I can't stress how important that is. There's so much love, attention and references to Terminator 1 and 2, which are the only true Terminator movies. Now I need to make it clear, the game is middle of the road, average in every single way except for the Terminator lore and story. But this is good enough to make the game a lot of fun for me because they've captured the atmosphere perfectly. It's a relatively short game. It took me 10 hours to complete and I did every optional objective and side quest available. You play as Jacob Rivers, a soldier of the human resistance against the machines in 2028. In the intro, you wake up during a machine raid and are separated from the resistance. You join up with a group of civilians and that sets the scene of what's about to come. To give you an idea of the time of events, this war is set as the machines and Skynet are about to create the time machine that sends the Terminator back to kill Sarah Connor. The story's great and carries the game forward, referencing and aligning with the events of the movies. The developers definitely have a passion for the Terminator story and it really shows here. The graphics aren't technically great, but they accurately capture the dire atmosphere of post-Judgment Day. Everything has that classic blue tint and the contrast between the dusty darkness and yellow fires really hit the mark. The best comparison I can make is that it looks like Fallout 4, which isn't a bad thing. Terminator Resistance is structured in a set linear way. You have a hub where you collect your main story mission, have a chat with people and possibly take on side quests. Just to note that the side quests are non-intrusive. You can generally complete them on the way to the main objective, which I really liked. After you choose to leave the hub, you teleport to the mission area and once you've finished that mission, you teleport back to the hub for a debrief and your next objective. I like the system because it's predictable. You know exactly where you are, there's no backtracking or visiting areas again. Once you complete an area, it's done for good. The combat areas can be separated into two distinct types, linear set pieces and non-linear open maps. The set pieces are more your Call of Duty style and the non-linear open maps are similar to Fallout with exploration and looting. The first person shooting is, well, it's okay. It's just good enough to not be bad. But for the first part of the game, you aren't going to be getting into too much combat with the Terminators because you don't have the plasma weapons which can effectively take them down. So you're going to be sneaking and stealthing about instead. This, honestly, was my favourite part of the game. Although the stealth mechanics are shallow like Fallout, the sense of dread the Terminators give you is what makes the beginning of the game so intense and scary, especially combined with the ominous T-1000 chase music playing. After you get plasma weapons, you're going to be able to take down everything that you come across and it becomes a straight shooter. This is where you start to really notice the mediocre standard of fare that the shooting mechanics are. I played on a controller and there's a really strange camera acceleration thing going on when trying to turn and aim. I played around with the settings and there's no sweet spot. When you turn it starts off slowly and then gradually picks up speed. The problem is, it's 2019 and we've had analog controls for a good while now, allowing us to control exactly the speed we want depending on how much we push the stick. And because of this, the movement feels really sluggish. Also to mention that the movement speed of your character is so slow, even while running. I would have preferred them to speed it up just a little bit. There's a good selection of guns from your iconic Uzi 9mm all the way up to the Terminator plasma rifles. The issue is that you get a resistance plasma rifle given to you about 25% of the way into the game and it makes every other weapon redundant. The first plasma rifle you get takes you all the way up until the last mission, whereupon you'll be given a replacement plasma weapon that's just an improvement on the one you've been using. Because of this, the exploration is made worthless. Although you can find new weapons in rare cases, you're not going to use them, and the only other loot that you'll find is crafting materials and ammo. There's a pretty cool weapon upgrade system, but it's only for the plasma weapons. When you kill enemies, they drop upgrade chips, which give percentage bonuses to damage, clip size, stability, etc. The cool thing is that each chip has a different connector on either side of it, and you can place up to 3 upgrade chips on a weapon, but the connectors have to match each other to complete the circuit. My advice is to go with the damage boost on all 3 chips on the standard plasma rifle, because it's already accurate, stable, and has a great red dot sight. If you do this, it's going to be the ultimate weapon. I do like using sniper rifles in games, and the plasma snipers here do massive damage, but they are unusable. Completely unusable because of the scopes attached to them. All snipers come with a heat vision scope that turns everything red. While this is good for spotting the enemies, you can't see their critical spots because the crit spots are red and don't show up through the scope. What a kick in the balls. Terminator Resistance has a leveling and player upgrade system, but in all honesty, it's completely ghetto. You can increase your lockpicking, gun damage, hacking and damage resistance, amongst other things, but the ones I've mentioned are the only useful ones that you'll want to spend points in. The lockpicking and hacking have minigames associated with them. The lockpicking is pulled straight from Fallout, and the hacking is just a futuristic frog jumper game. As simple as these minigames are, I quite enjoyed them. During the hub sections in between missions, you can have conversations and say different things to the NPCs, learning about people's backgrounds and current events. I liked the voice acting, and I enjoyed hearing what the characters had to say because it all made sense to the Terminator universe and often expanded upon the wider Ward hand. You do get to make dialogue choices, but it really only boils down to saying either yes or no to a side quest, or towards the end of the game you get to make a few decisions that will change ultimately how the ending plays out. There are romances in Terminator Resistance. When I say romances, I just mean that you get to have sex with a couple of the women you meet. I always love a good sex scene in games, because I'm a bit of a pervert, but you don't get to see any nips or vagines here, which is a bit of a disappointment. But what you do get to see is their old faces while they're riding you, and hear the lamentations of their women's, which is good enough for me. The musical score is everything a Terminator fan wants to hear. The classic Terminator theme plays as you explore. Yes, it's on a constant loop, but it's that good. I never got bored of it. And as mentioned, the T-1000 chase music plays in intense moments. I'm pretty sure there's only 2 songs, or slight other variations on them, but this shows how quality beats quantity in the musical department. Overall, Terminator Resistance is a terribly average shooter, with excellent Terminator fan service. I can only recommend this to Terminator fans like me. I had a great time with it, but I don't think it's going to appeal to most. At best, I'd say give it a try. What's the worst that could happen? Hasta la vista, baby.